Hello everyone and welcome to the online class for class 2. Let's start with looking at the syllabus first. 3 parts are there in our chemistry syllabus this year, physical chemistry, organic and inorganic chemistry. In physical chemistry there are 5 chapters. First, solid state, that's been included in class 12 again, comprising almost 4 marks. Solution 5 marks, electrochemistry 5 marks, kinetics 5 marks, surface chemistry 4 marks, comprising of 5 marks. Maybe it can be plus or minus, but this is the tentative marks that's been allotted to these chapters. In organic chemistry, there are haloalkanes and haloarenes comprising 4 marks tentatively. Again, alcohol and phenols, ethers comprising 4 marks, aldehyde, ketone and carboxylic acid comprising of 6 marks, maybe. Nitrogenous compound comprising of 4 marks, biomolecules 4 marks, polymer 3 marks, chemistry in everyday lives 3 marks. Total organic portion comprising of 28 marks, plus or minus maybe depending on the papers. Inorganic chemistry comprises of 4 chapters. Metallurgy chapter, this is nothing but the extraction of metals and isolation of metals, that chapter comprising of 3 marks. P block element comprising 8 marks, and also the thing that need to be noted is that group 15 has been included again into this year's syllabus in P block. P and A block comprising of 5 marks, coordination compound comprising of 3 marks. Total inorganic portion comprising of 19 marks, plus or minus some marks depending on the question papers that this year will come. We are going to start with this class with the chapter called solution. When in a system a single component is present, a single component may be a molecular in gaseous phase, solid phase, liquid phase, whatever, or a atomic system in gaseous, in solid state, in liquid state, whatever, or in ionic components, whatever the components may be. But if the components in a single component is present in the system, that system is called pure phase or pure substance. Now, if in a system more than one single component is present and mixed together, the mixture is that system then known as mixture. The mixture can be of heterogeneous, can be of homogeneous. Now, when we are saying homogeneous mixture, we are trying to say that the composition and physical property of that mixture throughout this mixture remains constant. That is, the entire system, the entire mixture having only one single phase. That type of mixture is known as homogeneous mixture, and we by definition call them solution. So solution is homogeneous mixture of different components. Out of all those components, the component which is present in a lesser amount is known as solute, and the component which is present in the highest amount is known as solvent. Solute always dissolve in a solvent medium to produce the solution. Now, if a solution comprises of 3 different components, supposedly, let's take 3 different component mixture solution. The component which is present in the highest amount is always by definition be called as solvent. The rest too is going to be my solute. So in a solution mixture, the number of component, whatever the number of component I have taken, this solute, the solvent will be always going to be 1. The rest of the component will be called solute. Depending on this definition, there are various types of solution mixture we have to study. Fewer of them are gas and gas mixture, where gas solute is dissolved in a gas solvent, producing a gaseous solution, because the phase, the state of the solution depends on the state of the solvent. So, my example for this particular type of solution is pure air. Pure air is nothing but my normal atmospheric air minus the vapor. Normal air, atmospheric air, if you only consider the gaseous part minus the vapor, that type of air is known as pure air. Next type of solution is a gaseous solute dissolved in a liquid solvent producing a liquid solution, producing a gas liquid solution. The example will be carbon dioxide gas dissolved in water producing carbon dioxide water solution. Next type of solution is gaseous solvent dissolved in a solid solute producing a solution which is in solid in state. The example is hydrogen gas in palladium metal. We all have studied about reduction process of unsaturated organic compound with the help of palladium metals. Next type of solution is liquid solvent dissolved in gaseous solute dissolved in gaseous solvent producing a solution which is in the state of gas, which is in the state of gaseous. Example is moisture air. Next type of solution is liquid solvent in liquid solute mixing in liquid solvent producing a solution of liquid phase, liquid state. The example will be aqueous solution of ethanol. The next type will be liquid solute dissolving in a solid solvent producing a solution or in a solid state. My example will be amalgam. Next type of solution is solid solute dissolved in a liquid solvent producing a solution which is in liquid state. My example will be for this particular type of solution is aqueous solution in glucose, aqueous solution of glucose or aqueous solution of sugar. The last type of solution is where a solid solute dissolving in a solid solvent producing a solution of solid in solid phase. The example for this type of solution is nothing but the alloys like brass, where zinc and copper has mixed together to form the alloy, which is nothing but a solution of copper and zinc. As most of the chemical reactions occurs in solution phase, in liquid phase, that's why we are going to study those kind of solution where the state of the solution is in liquid. That's why we need to consider, we need to know how to represent the concentration of the liquid solution. In our previous class 11, we have already studied the various forms of representing concentration of liquid solution, that is percentage concentration, W by W percentage, W by V percentage, V by V percentage, normality, molarity, mole fraction and ppm, etc. I would encourage you to go and study those before going further into the for the study of this chapter. When solute particles, whether it is iron or whether they are molecules, dissolve in a solvent, liquid solvent, the particle of the solute distribute themselves throughout the solvent, throughout the liquid solvent in 3 states. Solution process is 3-step process. The first step comprises of solute particles separating from each other to produce separated solute particles. Now, amount of energy needs to be provided in this step to separate each solute particles from one another. So this process is endothermic in nature. Energy needs to be provided in this state. So delta H1, if the change in enthalpy for this step, it is positive in nature. The second step is solvent particles separating themselves from each other. Again, energy need to be provided for this step also to separate the solvent particles from each other to produce separated solvent particles. This step is also endothermic in nature, and the change in enthalpy, change in energy is denoted by delta H2, which is positive in magnitude. The third step comprises the separated solid particles then interact with the separated solvent particles to produce solution. Now new amount of interactive force is being produced in the third state. As new interactive force is being produced, this process is endothermic in nature because the system after this state releases energy. The change in enthalpy in this state is denoted by delta H3, which is obviously negative in nature. So all this process, by adding, the process of solution happens. First process is separating the solute particles from each other. Second process is happening, the separation of the solvent particles from another, and the third process, the final process is the separated solute particles and the separated solvent particles interact with each other to produce this solution mixture. After this entire three process, the change in enthalpy for the solution process is delta H solution becomes delta H1 plus of delta H2 plus of delta H3. The change in enthalpy for the solution process is given by delta H solution equals to delta H1 plus delta H2 plus delta H3. This delta H1 plus delta H2 is the endothermic term and delta H3 is my exothermic term. Now this delta H1 plus delta H2, this endothermic term depends on the intermolecular force of attraction between the solute and solute particle and the solvent and solvent particles. On the other hand, this delta H3 depends on the intermolecular force of attraction between the solute and solvent particles. If solute and solute particles, intermolecular force of attraction between the solute and solute particles and solute and solvent particles is higher, is stronger, in that case you need to provide higher amount of energy to break the intermolecular force of attraction between the solute and solute molecules and solvent molecules to produce the separated solute particles and separated solvent particles. In that case, if the solute and solute, on the other case also can happen where the intermolecular force of attraction between the solute and solute molecules and solvent molecules are not very strong. In that case, very easily with minimum amount of energy, with providing minimum amount of energy, you can easily break the intermolecular force of attraction between them. The similar concept can happen in this case, where the solute and solvent molecules, the intermolecular force of attraction between the solvent and solute molecules is much stronger, higher amount of energy is released from the system. Opposite case also happens when solute and solvent molecules, intermolecular force of attraction formed between the solute and solvent molecules is extremely weak. In that case, lesser amount of energy will be released from the solution system. Depending on this situation that I just described, three cases can be observed where higher amount of energy is released after the solution process due to the stronger solute-solvent interaction, solute and solvent particle interaction formed compared to the solute-solute interaction and solvent-solvent interaction. In that case, delta H3 is greater than the delta H1 and delta H2. My total amount of these will provide delta H solution as the negative. Opposite case can also be observed where solute-solute interaction and solvent-solvent interaction is much stronger compared to the solute and solvent interaction. In that case, higher amount of energy is provided to break the solute-solute interaction and solvent-solvent interaction compared to the amount of energy that is released after the solute-solvent interaction formed. As a case, the delta H1 plus delta H2 magnitude becomes greater than the delta H3 magnitude for producing delta H solution in the positive term, positive magnitude. Third case is that where all the three types of interaction that I am talking right now, we are studying right now, that is solute-solute interaction, solvent-solvent interaction and solute-solvent interaction. All three of them are having similar amount of magnitude. In that case, what is happening? Similar amount of energy needs to be provided to break up this solute-solute interaction and solvent-solvent interaction, and similar amount of energy will be released after the formation of solute-solvent interaction. In that case, my delta H1 plus delta H2 will be equal to the delta H3, which produces delta H solution equals to 0. This type of case can be observed for ideal solution, where it is assumed that all the interactive forces present within the solution mixture, that is solute-solute interaction, solute-solvent interaction, and solute-solvent interaction also. All the three types of interactions are having the same amount of magnitude. Now, depending on the theory that we just studied, a conclusion can be drawn that is known as like dissolved like. It says that a solution becomes soluble in a liquid solvent if both the solute and solvent are alike in polarity. Means, if the polarity of the solvent and the solute are same, then the solute will dissolve in the solvent and vice versa. Now, this entire like dissolved like theory depends on one factor, that is intermolecular force of attraction present in the solution, or present in the all the type of intermolecular force of attraction present within the solution should be similar in nature and be comparable also in magnitude. Means, this case is solely for ideal solution like situation.